For the sport of sailing to continue to grow in our country, there is no doubt that a strong focus on the youth aspect is needed. We're doing okay there, but what about the women? Our focus tonight is on the stir of sailing. Is youth sailing and women in sailing moving ahead as expected in the future of the sport? Well, the sails are up and we are tacking, like they say, towards the finish line. Good evening and welcome to part 4 in a 5-part series, The Story of Sailing. Hope you've enjoyed our first 3 shows so far, and your knowledge and love of the sport of the sailing has gone up as high as a mast. This program is a production of the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. I'm joined once again by my sailmate, the youthful Kelsey Johnson.
Also joining us in studio tonight, back for the ride, champion skipper and race coordinator Clyde Roll, and educator skipper Sheldon Gibson, and also joining us by Zoom from Exuma, husband and wife Dallas and Tamara Knowles. Exuma Sailing Club, Class B Tara Ann, and Class C Termites, they are a part of the show. Let's not forget its regatta feeling, and the feeling of music tonight. Our entertainers are none other than Lady E and Bloody, and spinning on the music, we've got the Mighty Pencil.
And I have a special treat for you viewers tonight. 3 trivia questions. That means you have a chance to win 3. First question, name the typical sailing boat used by sailing in training. You can call or WhatsApp your answer to 427-1481. First correct answer wins a $100 gift certificate from Janae's Uniform Center. And let's get right into it. We are dealing with sailing. Clyde and Sheldon, is sailing at this point where it needs to be?
To tell you the truth, Fisher, we are headed in the right direction. And all we can do from here is go up. I think the ministry is doing a wonderful job. The gentlemen involved in the sailing program, whether it's the local sloop or the Opties or whatever, they're doing a wonderful job in sailing. And you know, we started from way back there in the junior program. And to get to where we are right now, from 1992, when we started, we have come a long way. And myself, along with Sheldon, we are very proud of where sailing is and where it is headed at this time.
And Sheldon, you deal basically with youth. How do you see it?
Well, I think that we have a very firm foundation. And, you know, because we have seen the results of people who started in sailing and now they end up, being very important people in community in this country. And I know that we can only do better right now, and it was a dream of mine. Well, you know, I gave 46 years to teaching. And so anything that is going to make the people who come up after me, that's what I am all about. But this is, I feel very good about the sailing right now.
What age do you think a person should get started in sailing?
Well, I think from 6 years old. You know, a couple of years ago, we had, we was looking at it, and Clyde, myself, Danny, and all of us got together with Sir Derwit. And Sir Derwit said we're going to have to cooperate with the people with the Opties, because Opties start from about 6. And then sailing is sailing, in wind and salt water, that's what it is with the Opties. And so we went on to, from there, going up. But now, with our sloops, we had to do something a bit different, because we didn't go down that far. The boats, the E-class boats, are 12 feet overall, and then they can only carry 20 foot of mast. That is for practice, that is for children. So that is the kind of thing we came up with to make sure that it start from somewhere, and what it is now is, but I have no doubt that later on you're going to hear way more than this about sailing, because where we started from to where we are now is a long way.
But Clyde, you were singing the praises of this young gentleman that we have here from Exuma, Dallas and Tamara. Dallas and Tamara, welcome to The Story of Sailing.
Good evening. Thank you for having us, guys.
Tell us what is going on in Exuma with youth sailing.
Oh, man. Things are going really, really well in Exuma. Even during last year, I'd say we had one of the best years we've had for junior sailing in Exuma. The Exuma Sailing Club has grown in the last 8 years. Every year it's gotten bigger and bigger. And thanks to the two gentlemen sitting right next to you there, when the firm foundation they laid for sloop sailing is a great, great thing for us to build on, and very easy to build on because of all the hard work they did a long, long time ago. So I would say, as far as junior sloop sailing goes, Exuma, I think, is somewhat of the standard right now for how kids are getting involved in junior sloop sailing. And that's because of guys like Clyde and Sheldon and Danny and Chris Cattell and the foundation that really, really gave us a great foundation to start with. And we've just been building on that over the last 8 years.
How many kids do you have involved in your program?
I'd say between 25 to 30 kids on a regular basis. And that's throughout several different classes of boats. We try to get them in there as soon as possible so they have as many years in junior sailing as they can.
And when you talk about the numbers, what are some of the things that you introduce them to? How do you get them familiarized with the boat?
Well, when we first started, so we started the club back in 2013 because Danny Strawn and Chris Cattell and the Exuma Foundation had 2 E-Class boats that they were looking to get use out of. So they said, hey, I've got these 2 boats. Can you help us get a little club going? And me, along with Red Smith and a couple of other guys, we started the Exuma Sailing Club, and we started teaching kids to sail in the E-Class sloop, which is honestly, it was a bit of a challenge. You know, it's a good boat for beginners, but it still is a little more difficult than some of the other boats that kids are learning on right now, like the Optis and the Sunfish. So I'd say about 4 years ago, we got into the Opti class in the club, and that has really helped us teach the kids at a younger age. So 6, 8 years old, like you guys were saying, we're able to get them in sailboats and get a lot of the basic stuff out of the way. And then when we put them in the sloops, we find that they're already well equipped for handling a sailboat of that size, rather than starting them in the sloops from the beginning. That's a pretty steep learning curve. So we find that starting at the very bottom with the Opti class, about 8 years old, and then building into the sloops has been worked really well for us.
For those who aren't familiar with the boats that they sail on, what are some of the competitions that they compete in every year?
So that's one thing that I think we need to try to do a little bit better in, because really the main event for the E-Class sloop is the Junior Championship, which is now the Durwood Knolls Championship. And that's only sailed once a year. And we actually haven't held that event since 2018. So it's been a little while since we've actually held that championship. And I think a good way to get the kids more excited about the junior sloops and to get more clubs involved in the junior sloops is to have more competitions throughout the year. Now in Exuma, we are very, very lucky because we have the Bull Ranch Regatta, we have the Rollville Regatta, we have the Barataria Regatta, we have Georgetown Regatta. All of those are opportunities for our kids to compete in the E-Class. So kids in Exuma have a ton of time in the E-Class sloop, and that's why the last 3 junior championships have come. The last 3 junior champions have come out of Exuma, just because those kids spend so much time in the boat. Now, a lot of the other kids wouldn't have that opportunity, just because the junior championship, the Durwood Knolls Junior Championship, is the premier event for the E-Class. And I think we need to try to find a way to offer more events throughout the year to get the boat sailing more.
On Clyde, you're singing the praises of Dallas. Like they say, they take the bull by the horn, but he's really taken that program in Exuma to a higher level.
I mean, Fisher, it makes myself and Sheldon so proud of someone like Dallas. You know, in 1992, when we started this program, Danny, I approached Danny about it, and Danny said, Clyde, I'm with you, but my hands are full. If you want a junior program to be restarted, you're going to have to take the bull by the horn, and you're going to have to see what you can do with it. So immediately, I tried to get involved with a couple of sponsors. Vitamalt at that time, we had Vitamalt, and then I put a team together, Sheldon Gibson, Eliezer DeBarber Johnson, and Margaret Tatum Gilbert, and we started this program in '92. The minister at the time was Mr. Algernon Allen, and he was all for it. And to see where that came from, and the type of people we have, probably the best sailor we have in the country right now is Stephen Knowles. he came up through that program. We have someone you're going to put on this program tonight, Naoshi Roll. In my opinion, she is probably the next best to Stefan, but a lot of people don't know that. And you know, that's a female. So I'm singing their praises. And Dallas, for what he has done, you know, I've been the chairman of the program ever since it started. Over the last 3-4 years, I pleaded to Dallas to take it over because, you know, he loves sailing. And he took it over. He took it and ran with it. And I am very appreciative of it. And he is doing a wonderful job.
We're getting back to Dallas, but let's get Sheldon in here before we get to the break. When we go to these regattas and we see these youngsters, they want to jump on the boats with the big guys and talk with the big guys like they've been in it for quite some time.
Yeah, well, that is something good. And you know what? When Dallas was talking just now, I was feeling good on the inside because then again, if he lets you know what's happening in Exuma and us in Nassau, well, I guess all of the organizers in Nassau listen to me now, because then again, all of the time while I was telling them, while it was organizing regattas here, to allow the children to bring the E-class in and give the children a chance to race. All I was hearing from people in Nassau is, oh, we don't have the time because we have to do too many races over 2 or 3 days, but you have to. See what Dallas is doing in Exuma right now? They are, I mean, way ahead of us. But I'm willing to do it. Right now I have 3 boats in my yard. I know Lloyd Sands have 2. There's Joba with his own. And then Sands have 4 boats. And he's willing to do Jimmy Sands, that is a Bahamas Brewery or something like that. That's the name. But they're willing to just lend us anything to get those children going. And I am interested in doing it. So us here in Nassau, take heed.
Talking about going, we're going to a break, and when we come back from this break, we'll speak with 2 of those young sailors that's making waves around the world.
It's a rhythm inside that place. We wanna fly, mighty pencil when it touch the street. My heart start pumping. Hey, mighty pencil, put up the tune name one more time. I can't stop, cause I hearing it again. Hey, bam, bam, hey, bam, badam, hey, bam, bam, hey, bam, badam, hey. Yeah. Get ready to mash this party up. It's the mighty one non-stop. Hey! Yeah, you know how D-Mark and the mighty Pence. Let's do this.
We are back. Let's give that trivia question once again. Name the typical sailing boat used for sailing training, and the number you can WhatsApp or call 424-6311, and you can win yourself a $100 gift certificate from Janae's Uniform Center. We are now joined by Robert Dunkley, Director of the National Sailing School, and 2 of the country's top young Opti skippers, Joshua Reich and Craig Ferguson. And still on Zoom, Dallas and Tamara, and also joining us by Zoom is President of the Harbour Island Sailing Association and also head of the Harbour Island Sailing Club, Melvin Ferguson. Youth Sailing Club, let's go to Dunkley. How can one get involved in youth sailing?
Very easy. We just give us a call, National Sailing School, 357-3959. Send us an email at bahjuniorsailing.com and we'll respond. Right now we have a summer sailing camp about to begin. It starts July the 12th. We have 3 sessions. Each session's 2 weeks. There are 10 classes. We provide lunch, and it's open to anybody and everybody as juniors in the community, ages 8 to 18. And we sail in the Optimus Dinghy, Sunfish, and the Lasers.
How have you seen the program growing in its years?
Well, it was Jimmy Lowe, John Lawrence, Peter Bruce Wasage. Really started the program in 2004 and started off with about 30 Optimus sailors. And the coach was a foreigner who came in to start the program for us. And today we have probably in our program per year, we go over 200 kids participate in our program. By the time we look at those in the summer sailing camp, our year-round program, and then the program we have for the government schools, and that one's a very special one because it really caters to the community and these young kids in the government schools coming out and joining us. And someone like Craig.
Yeah, let's get
Okay.
Craig and Joshua in here. Craig, Joshua, how did y'all get to say, hey, I want to sail? How did you get involved?
Well, I got involved. My older brother, he's 18. He started sailing before me, and he eventually kind of fell out of the sport. And I really, really wanted to do it, and I tried it out. And my first time wasn't the best. I didn't like it that much, but I tried it again and slowly got more and more comfortable and better at it. And it's been 7 years. So.
Craig, how did you get involved?
Well, I was introduced to the sport by a friend of mine. He was taking the summer camp, and his mom mentioned it to my mom, and I really wanted to try it. And I tried it, so I went to the summer camp, and I just happened to like it.
You guys have been able to travel all over the world. You're recently coming back from a tournament. How did that go?
It was good. We went to the North Americans in Mexico. We had really, really good results all across the board. We had 13 sailors. Me and Craig both made the gold fleet. And Craig was our top sailor there, and he finished 25th, and I finished 49th.
How does it feel when you're out there on the water and you're in control of everything?
Well, I wouldn't say you're in control of everything because one person can mess your whole race up, but it feels normal for me.
What's the best part of sailing for you, being out there on the water?
The freedom of it. Honestly, I like to be in the open water. I feel really in control. I get to make my own decisions in the boat, so I really enjoy that.
And what's ahead? What's ahead for you? What's next?
Worlds.
And how are you preparing for that?
Well, we practice a lot, and we have to work out a lot, stay fit.
Craig is spot on. We're training for it now. We leave in just over 2 weeks' time to Italy. And it'll be a 2-week event, the World Championship, so we're getting ready for it now.
And we're joined by Melvin Higgins now from out of Harbour Island. I wish I was there. How are things going with you sailing on the island of Bryland?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Youth sailing is starting to come back. As you know, the pandemic has, basically damaged a lot of things, but slowly we're getting our crew to start to come out on a regular basis. We're back up to about 15 sailors now, and we're moving forward. We've had a few girls, added to our crew over the last few weeks. We've had a new sailor from the Bluff Eleuthera has joined our group. So we basically are moving forward. We're out there every Saturday, and we basically are just, getting things back in order.
Unlike NASA, where there are outside distractions, are kids willing, is things getting easy to get kids to join in Bryland?
Our major competition with our young people is basketball. Harbour Island is a basketball town. To the point where most of our young people don't realize that you could actually go around the world with sailing. And, I faced that reality with a young man. He walked up to me and he said he didn't know that sailing could take you around the world. He thought it was only basketball. But we have the competition with the basketball team, but we still have good interest from the parents here on Harbour Island. At one point we were up to about 50 children a week. After the pandemic, it dwindled down a bit, but we are starting to see more and more children come out on a weekly basis. So the interest is still there. And I think with Joshua, one of our top sailors now, doing well and actually getting an opportunity to go to international events, I think that's going to drum up a lot of attention.
Are there any events planned for Harbour Island for your young sailors?
Unfortunately, not in the foreseeable future, but I'm sure we will host the nationals at one point again. We hosted it a few years ago. We've hosted it twice already. So I'm sure in the near future we're going to consider hosting it. But what we have talked about is maybe Sunfish or Laser Nationals. We've talked about that amongst ourselves. Haven't brought it to the governing body or anything like that. But I'm sure as things start to clear out, we will definitely be hosting something.
And Dunkley, before we go into our entertainment, what's ahead? They talk about the world. What's ahead? We're in this pandemic. What's ahead for our young sailors?
Our young sailors on New Providence, we were very fortunate. We were able to get back to sailing on a regular basis as of last November, and we've really pushed our programs. We've really wanted to do well in the North American Championships that were held in Mexico. We just got back a few days ago, and as the boys have said, we did extremely well. And so looking forward to the Worlds, but also looking to expand our programs throughout the country. And Grand Bahama, their program, because of the hurricane, has been sometimes getting things back in Long Island. Like to see their program come back on stream. Abaco, there's another area that was affected by the hurricane. Once all those clubs are running their programs again, this country is going to be looking at over 100 boats in the Nationals, in the Optimus Nationals. And just as Melvin had mentioned, his son Joshua is doing extremely well in the lasers. We had a laser event 4 weeks ago, and we had 25, 28 boats. Many of them were juniors sailing against the seniors. That was the Laser National Championship, and Joshua won his group. I see Joshua is one who's going to be going and representing the Bahamas internationally, and at World Sailing's Youth World Championship. It'd be nice to see him go this year, but if he doesn't go this year, certainly by next year. So as far as the talent goes, the islands and the clubs around the islands have really been developing a lot of great talent. And at the same time, all of our sailing programs, particularly here in New Providence, and as Dallas and Exuma has already indicated, great growth there. And to see, as I mentioned, Long Island, Grand Bahama, Abaco come back on stream.
Okay, hopefully all those will come back on stream. We'd like to thank Craig and Joshua for joining us here. We'll get back to you later on in the show. Good luck with the Worlds coming up. But I feel like eating something. I don't know what I feel like eating. Is it some crab sauce or what? We have the best entertainer this side of the Bahamas right here in studio, Bloody!
Yeah! Watch it, Bobby, the maintenance man. Let's go! Let's pick up the regatas, Long Island. Watch it now. Zuma. I want no bamboo. I don't want no geese. I don't want no dirty skunk to stuck between my teeth. I'm feeling zombies. I done play that out. All I want is that sweet juicy. Let's go. I want me some crab sauce. I grandma the crab house. I want me some crab sauce. I grandma the. I want me some crab sauce. I grandma the crab house. All I want is that sweet juicy crab in my. Let's go, Pencil. Gotta pick up the taste of Nassau. Exuma, Long Island. Are you picking up the regattas right now? That's how we doing this tonight. Yes, sir. Exuma. I woke up yesterday. I was so hungry. I had money in my pocket, but confused but what to eat. Bobby say, look, boy, buy us some Chinese. I say Chinese ain't gonna do the trick. It's something else I need. Before you do it, Pencil came walking by. He had crab juice on the mouth. He looked at me and I've been by the crab house to get me some crab sauce. And if y'all beg me for my crab house, hey, 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 let's go, Mahalia. Big regatta, son. Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotta pick up all my buddies by the taste of Nassau. That's how we do this live. Bloody J. Let's go. Mahalia, where you been, gal? I've been looking for you, looking for you. Mahalia, where you been, gal? I've been looking for you. Yes, indeed. I've been chilling out by the bar last night. This gal, she was looking nice. She blew my mind right out of sight. I start to order drinks, man. I drinking everything. She make me feel like a king. Now I done drunk. I asked to take her home. I said I live alone. She jump in my ride and roll with me. We wake and scrape till morning come. Tell her sleep when I wake up. My hell, yeah. Let's go, pencil.
Again.
I say, my hell, yeah. Where you been, gal? I've been looking for you. Looking for you. My hell, yeah. Where you been, gal? I've been looking for you. Yes, indeed. Rest in peace, Cara Winder. Yes, and that's what we doing it. Huh. Regatta style.
Which one of your favorite regatta you go to? Which one?
Why
is the
like
best
Exuma? I love Exuma.
Exuma?
Exuma love me. Let's go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Welcome back. And if you're just joining us, you missed a lively performance on shore by Bloody. But landing with me in the boat on this smooth ride, I have three of the best females in the game. It's called the sailing game. But before we get there, I just want to announce the winner to the trivia question. The answer was Optimus, and our winner was Raquel Dawkins. Now, we also have another trivia. If you can name 3 Long Island boats, the winner will get a $50 gas voucher. I mean, that can do my car good. If you can just slip me the answer, that will be lovely. But joining me in the boat, I have Miss Sandy Trico, Miss Naoshi Rode Rodriguez, and none other than Lori Lowe. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. I mean, I might as well say it now. Women rule the world, as you can see by the set. Now, if we could just talk about the dominance in sailing, how we can make sure that everyone is included in the sport. Ms. Lowe.
I think first we have to get the girls out there young. The younger you start, the more you enjoy it. We just have to advertise that girls can do this as well as the boys. Sailing's a great sport. Girls can sail against boys and beat them.
Yeah.
And you can sail all your life. So it's a fabulous sport.
Well, we have a lot of ladies sailing, you know. We have a lot of young girls sailing, Exuma and Long Island especially, to be exact.
And Ms. Naoshi, if you can just tell us how you got started in the sport.
Well, I got started at a very young age, well, at 11, 12. Just a barefeet gal. Went around Spaniel Key, and one of my friends, she's actually a lady, and she attended Mike Meth from Sampson Key, took a few of the kids out, and I happened to be with her, and she just grabbed me, and we went to the other key, and he started to teach me sailing, and from then I just got hooked.
Now, these are just 3 of the females who are involved in the sport. We have joining us by Zoom, Paloma Cartwright. She's a sailor as well. Miss Margaret Tatum Gilbert and Miss Melvin Higgs, and as well as Tamara Knowles. Now, ladies, I just want to welcome you all to the show. If you can just tell us, Miss Knowles, I know we heard from you earlier in the show in terms of Exuma, but if you could just tell us how you got started in the sport.
First off, I feel completely out of my element being a part of this whole panel right here. So it kind of blows me away that I'm even a part of this. So thank you, Bahamas, for allowing me to join your sailing community. It's been an honor. I had 2 boys, and their dad fell in love with sailing, and they fell in love with sailing. So I figured if I wanted to spend time with my boys, I better fall in love with sailing too. I grew up a country girl playing softball and basketball and nowhere near the water. But just being down here, you have to get involved in stuff on the water. And so it was really cool. And it's like you guys were saying, you can sail at any age. So it's never too late to learn how to sail. It's never too late to get involved, even if you don't get started really early. But it's just, for me, it's about being out there with my boys and being a part of my family and not missing out on all the fun they're getting to have out there.
Ms. Gilbert, was it hard, difficult, organizing some of the regattas that were taking place down there in Grand Bahama?
Hi everyone. Sandy, good to see you. It's been a long time.
Yes.
No, it is not hard to organize the regattas. I mean, my experience in sailing in Grand Bahama is relatively new because I just came back home a couple years ago. So I've been on the Nassau and the Family Island scene for a longer time than here in Grand Bahama. But in Grand Bahama, it's a little different. People are not as much into the sailing as they are in the other islands. I think we're trying to do a good PR job on it, but perhaps because Grand Bahama itself does not have a boat in the race anymore like it used to once upon a time. And when we do have regattas, because of the distance, I guess, and the expense of transporting the boats, we don't have the big players or the A class. We have only the C class, which is an extremely competitive class, but perhaps not as big a crowd draw here in Grand Bahama as it is in some of the other islands. So, but it's amazing. A lot of people don't realize the Grand Bahama Regatta is celebrating 24 years or 25 years.
While Long Island, they're no stranger when it comes to sailing. We have Miss Cartwright. She'll be graduating tomorrow with a bachelor's degree in computer science. Miss Cartwright, congratulations on the graduating part. But if you could just talk about, coming from a famous island like Long Island, did you have to compete with the boys to make sure that you were on the boat?
When I started sailing, I was 5, and I was one of 3 girls in the program, and we grew up competing with the boys the entire time. But it was never anything less than fun, and we always held our own, and we came out and we showed out every time, and it was always a blast to compete against the boys and hold our own, show other girls in the country now especially that it's not a boys' sport. Girls can do it too.
Now, Ms. Trico, you have a boat. How did you get involved being a boat owner? What motivated you to, buy a boat?
Well, I got involved in sailing, I don't know, in 2005 or 4. And I started going to regattas, and I met someone who was an avid sailor, and he ran around with Barbara J all the time. And actually, Clyde was fussing him out one day, and I told him, well, Clyde's not going to fuss you out anymore. Next year, we're going to make sure that you have your own boat. So that was like 2005. I called my cousin, he built a boat, and the next year we had it. So it was just because of some feud that really wasn't a feud. Men talk a lot of stuff sailing, and they're not really angry, they're just fussing. And I just thought he was like getting fussed at, and I took it, and I just say, okay, we ain't having nobody fussing you out, you can have your own boat. And I just did it.
Before we jump to the NACRA question to Ms. Cartwright, I just want to get Ms. Rodriguez involved. I heard you were a part of the crew on the Tidal Wave. Talk about the experience on the water there.
Well, that's one of a kind, especially I would wish any woman sailor, young girl sailor to have this experience. But for me, it's almost like natural sailing just a larger C class. They also sail the C class as well.
She sailed the Termite.
The original
all the
Termite,
kids out of Exuma, right?
I sailed. So it was only transitioning to a larger boat and just with mostly men. And I just felt right at home, comfortable, and,
Family.
And and actually I prefer the larger boats than the smaller ones now.
Ms. Lowe, when can we see an all-female regatta? I mean, we have a top skipper, we have a boat owner, we have a race coordinator. When can we see just women on the water?
Oh, this is coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
We got an adult women learn to sail program going right now. I got a group of ladies ready to go, so soon.
Now, Ms. Cartwright, if you can just explain to us what NACRA 12 is all about. What is it, a different type of sailing from the sloop sailing that we're used to seeing here in the country?
Yes. So in 2019, Paul D'Souza and I embarked on qualifying to represent the Bahamas in the 2024 Olympic Games. The NACRA 17, instead of a single hull boat, it's actually a catamaran, so it has two hulls. And my partner and I, we sailed together on the boat, a male and female team. And a lot of it is very much the same, but there's also been a lot of it that's completely new, and it's such a learning process, but it's so much fun to go into this different category of sailing that's still the sport that I love and something that I've done my entire life, but on a new level, in a different way, and still learning every day, every time we step on the boat.
Well, Ms. Gilbert, if you could just talk about how we can take advantage of those persons who want to be a participant on the island of Grand Bahama.
Yeah, well, our committee is very open to people coming and becoming involved. As a matter of fact, we want it. We look for it. Shavita Campbell, who is our chairperson, she is always doing reach out for it. We now have a boat. We now have a C class. So Grand Bahama will be represented more in the races. And that's what we're doing. The young people sailing program, as I think earlier you had Robert Dunkley on, and he was speaking about it. Since the hurricane, since Dorian, the program hasn't jump-started again at the yacht club, but I'm thinking that they're doing that again this summer. So I don't have the exact details on that, but I'm pretty sure they're getting it together for the summer. So in terms of the opties or the other type of sailing, as we like to call it, not sloop sailing, I'm sure there's going to be continued representation.
But I just want to thank everyone who joined me on set. But before we go, some would argue it's a physically challenging sport. It's no easy feat for Tamara Knowles, a self-described country girl from Alabama who never sailed before. It was a great way to spend quality time with her husband and her sons. It's a woman's world, and yes, we rule the world. Joining me now for this segment on Women in Sailing is owner of Sweet Island Gal Trico, like I said, but I thanked you already. So we're just gonna go to that piece with Miss Tamara.
The sloops became a passion of our whole family. Of course, he kind of caught the bug before the rest of us, and it just was contagious for all of us to get involved in it. But being a part of the Bahamian traditional sloop sailing is incredible. It's not anything that anybody else that sails in other parts of the world that they can truly understand until they see it and experience it. Being one of the few females that you ever see out there on the course is pretty cool. Knowing that my husband's cool enough to let his family tag along and let us be a part of it.
Yeah, my understanding is that you're probably going to be the only female sailor.
Possibly. Every now and then you see them pop up, and so you kind of like get really excited and throw a couple waves like, hey, another girl out here. But usually it's just us, and every now and then we see a couple other kids out there, but usually, I mean, our boys are there. I haven't heard that. I'm sure the talk goes on. They haven't come up to me and said that personally, but I'm sure it happens. I have had the guys a couple times, some of the Long Island boys, when it was really howling out there. I think it was last Best of the Best, one of those days, or I can't remember exactly which one, but it was really choppy, really windy, really nasty conditions. And they're harassing me saying things like, aren't you afraid to be out on the end of that pry? And I'm like, no way, that's when it gets really fun and exciting. But I do not want to be the person that ever falls off the boat and have that excuse. Well, she's a girl, she fell off, she wasn't going to hold on. So if anything, that motivates me more to just not want to do anything to mess up the race and interfere with it, because I don't want to make it seem like it's not important, because it is. And I mean, our whole family's out there because we feel like it's important for them to pick it up, but we want to be a part of it together as a family. it's not always just about the racing part of it either. Like when we go for a regatta, it's not just showing up for race day and flying home or anything like that. It involves everything, all the prep work that Dallas does before, carrying lead onto the mailboat, loading it on and off, whether we're sick, whether we're tired, it's part of it. And the boys and I are right there with Dallas. We're doing it. And I know last year on the way back, all the crew had to get back here on time. So he and I were taking all the lead out of the whole boat. I was sick as a dog and I just did not want to be doing it, but it had to be done and it's part of it. And I respect it and appreciate the sport more for knowing the ins and outs and the goods and bads, not just the glory and the winning. Yeah.
Been to Inagua, been to Long Island, and Grand Bahama, and Walker's Key. So come go with me, to pay money. Sing it, y'all, come on. Yeah, that's it. All right, yes, I. Still yes is back one more time. Live and direct, this one is called Come Go With Me. Back to Bimini, y'all. Listen and watch it. Do it. All right. Yes, I.
And the winner of the $50 Esso gas voucher is William Roll. He's right here in Nassau. He named 3 sloops out of Long Island. That was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Chase, Running Tide, and Rupert's Legend. If he'd left off the Rupert's Legend and Running Tide, then he would have been in pro. But as we prepare to wrap things up, Clyde and Laurie, how do you see, and what do you see now that we must do to improve sailing and make it what we want it to be?
Well, Fisher, first of all, the government got to be involved. Sailing, especially the local sailing, the sloop sailing, when you don't get the sponsorship, like sailing on the Family Islands is like Christmas, okay? We have about at least 10 islands now that have major sailing every year. So the best thing is to have the government involved, to push, the government put a lot of money into it, but we get along with the local sponsors, Bacardi and all those people. They've been doing a good job, so that's what we need.
What about you? What would you?
Yeah, I agree with Clyde. I think that funding from government is an important part of what we need. We also need the local communities to step up, but and just introduce our people to the sport, get them out on the water. We live in this beautiful country with beautiful water, and there's nothing like being out on the water on a sailboat. You enjoy the natural beauty of this country, and you spend time communing with God, and this is what sailing is about.
Will we have another sailor in the Olympics?
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I think our current crop of children or youth sailors are well on the way. We've got, Joshua and Craig. They're a little young, but they could step into a couple of different Olympic boats and be there in 4 to 8 years. We've got Paul D'Souza and Paloma Cartwright. We've got Spencer Cartwright, who are potentials for 4 years from now. We have Robert talked about the Optimist before, but we also have a group of sailors going to the U.S. Laser Nationals, including Melvin's son Joshua Higgins out of Harbor Island. And I think Joshua's trying to get to a Worlds now. Well, he was trying to, but unfortunately the event was canceled. So it'd be interesting to see how our group of kids go, and adults who are going to the U.S. Nationals next month.
Mr. Higgins, down there in Harbor Island, like Ms. Lowe said, you're starting to have your son train for the next level. How do you make sure that the other kids, as well as him, they stay sharp for a competition?
One of the things that we try to promote here in Harbor Island is parental involvement. We have to get parents completely involved if we are to see the potential of the children come out. Because we could have the, door open, but it's the parents who have to help them to get in. Unfortunately, we have an excited group of parents up here who push their children to come out. on Saturdays to make sure they get their training in, to make sure we do all that we could do to get them where they need to go. We thank Coach Martin from up in Savannah Sound for coming down and helping us out. If our children are to reach that level, especially that international level, we have to introduce them to more international level coaching. And that's where Joshua kind of took off, because he was able to get exposed to Coach Clark from Lightfoot Key, Coach Martin in Savannah Sound. And now he's doing excellent. We're very, very excited, to see what's going to come out of, his future. And I think he has a bright, future ahead of him.
Well,
as Clyde right there he has sloop sailing in his blood, so he has a long line of sailors that he came from. So
Dallas,
we're
going to
very excited here in Hop Island.
Well, Dallas, we're going to let you close this one off for us tonight. It seems like they're putting everything in your hands to make sure that the future of youth sailing is A-OK.
Well, Clyde did all the hard work, so more than happy to take the baton from here and run it as long as I can. But I really want to thank him and Danny for all the work that they did a long time ago to get the junior sloop sailing program going. I just think the biggest next step is we have to find a way to make these boats more accessible to more children. We need to find a way to keep them functioning. They're expensive. They take a lot of manpower and work. So I have some ideas, but I think there's a way that we can get them more accessible to more people, to more kids. I think we have an advantage in the Out Islands because there are less distractions. We can spend a lot of time on the water. The kids are very invested and love these sloops. I know Clyde is always trying to steal our boats and send them to Black Point, but he's got to get his own boats for Black Point. But I really think there's ways that we can get kids into the junior sloops, and from there it's just a natural progression into the bigger boats, and the sport of sloop sailing will be much healthier if we can get more kids involved early.
Thanks a lot, Dallas. We'd like to thank all our guests via Zoom and our panel here in studio for joining us here. We get one more show to go, but before we get out of here, Kelsey?
Do you know how to scull? Because I know this young lady who is going to bring the heat. She knows how to scull. She knows how to do everything. That's Lady E.
And I say, why, my island's in the sun, sun, sun. Let's go! Regatta time. We're going to get up right now. Hey, Exuma, Andrus, let me see ya. And I say, why, my island's in the sun. Regatta time is your boss when we come to party. This junk canoe that got me wet, say. Regatta time again. We could be raking, scraping, winding up and misbehaving. Hey! Give me the cowbells, give me the drums. We're gonna party, party till the morning comes. Y'all wind up your waist like you come to mash up the place. It's regatta time again, and I say, boy, my island's in the sun. Regatta time again. Hey, hey, come on, and I say, regatta time again. Listen up. 700 islands run through me. This bush give me plenty energy. Come for this. Prophet Exuma Regatta, drinking gin and coconut water. Boxing Day on the Goombay, party all night and day. And I say, my island's in the sun. Regatta time again. Long Island, Abaco. I say, my island's in the sun. Regatta, we could be raking, scraping. Let me see you now. Get up. Come on. Skull it now. Rape and scrape and jump canoe, master ocean, bust a move, grab your pants down the heel and toe. That's how we Bahamians go. This we culture proud and strong. Rock your cowbells, beat that drum. Wind your waist, gal, come alive. Let's go. Hey, you got to go. You need to go. Deep in the bush, get down. Let's go. I said, you got to go. You need to go. Deep in the bush. Come on. Tell me now how you're feeling. Why let me be your instructor? The pressure pressure, I got the healing. The bush woman is what they call me. Come to me if you need a cure. You're gone and catch a high fever. Boy, I got what you're looking for. Something to relieve the pressure. Something to relieve the pain. This bush, it got plenty power. Cause the blind man to see again. Come get you some of this. You know you need this. Let's go deep in this. Let me give you some. Come on, let me. Sorry, 5-finger tea. Banana leaf to bring relief. Just come to me. Let's go. Tell me now how you're feeling. The pressure, I got the healing. Hey, Cascarilla, Park Madeira, Sapadilla, all over ya. Plenty love by, you got the time. We're talking bush therapy, y'all. Hey, let me see you sculling now. This bush doctor can fix it. Bush doctor can heal the sick. All natural medication. Boil it up if you're feeling sick. Something to beat the pressure, fever, or you're feeling doubt. This bush, it got plenty power. Hey, let me give you some of this. You know you need this. Know you go like this. Don't try to fight this. Come on, let me. Sorry, 5-finger tea. Banana leaf to bring relief. Just come to me. Let's go. Tell me now how you're feeling. The pressure, I got the healing.